Welcome back to Wild Eye Wednesday, ladies and germs. Bronco Juggalo is here, and I have brought you Rage of the Mummy. Now, this was a surprisingly good film. An homage to the Universal and Hammer old-school monster films, this was directed by Daniel Vincent and stars Scott Crowshore as Detective Blake. Now, I want to send a shout-out to Wild Eye. They did not send me this. This was one I bought off of Hamilton Book. But they're an awesome company, and thanks for my beanie. I couldn't find this for a while. I got my new couch, I pulled out the old couch. Guess where I found my beanie? Guys, this movie was surprisingly good. I mean, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that as in, I was shocked how good this movie really was. I knew it was low budget. In fact, from what I hear, it was micro budget, even though I couldn't find the actual budget. But I think that this was incredibly creative and done extremely well. I do have some cons and some pros I'm going to get into. But first, a quick synopsis. So, there is a cult called the Cult of the Dark Pharaohs. And they're kind of a satanic, satanistic, not sure what they know they are. The leader, the priest of it, he talked about how he was a disciple of Anton LaVey. They're all into different kinds of sorcery and metaphysical stuff, and they're into psychics and tarot, and some of them are into black magic. One guy's into necromancy. There's all these different things. They kind of cover a lot of ground, and they don't stick too close to the true theological points of any of it. By the way, Anton LaVey is a fucking dumbass. He was a fucking stupid idiot. Anyway, just saying. If you're into that kind of stuff, sorry, that's how I feel. So this cult, they commissioned two grave robbers to rob a tomb of a mummy. They commissioned these two grave robbers to rob the tomb of all of these artifacts, daring the curse. Now, the curse of it is that if these artifacts are removed, their mummy will come back and kill them all and get the artifacts back. Now, which is basically kind of exactly what happens. I know that may be kind of a spoiler, but come on, that's pretty self-explanatory. You know, that's kind of how these films work, you know. I'm going to start with cons, because I only have a couple. The movie was a bit overly long after a while, and even some of the innovations after being seen it done over and over again got a little bit kind of like, okay, we get it, this is going on, you know. But I never lost interest in the film. Never once. I had a really good time watching this movie. There's really no gore in this film, and even most of the kills are cutaway, probably due to, the budget. They're either cutaway or they're done with animation. I'm going to get into that here in a second. And the way that this movie ends is just a bit anticlimactic. Now, the very ending, like the last couple shots of the movie, I loved. But I think that they kind of came down when they should have ramped up for this big confrontation, and it kind of just came down. But that was kind of maybe even an homage in itself. I'm not 100%. It could have just been due to budget. It could have been because that's how it was written. Or it could have been done because that's how things kind of were done in the older movies, especially in the Universal ones. And when you see the last shot, you'll know what I mean. We're going to start at the beginning here with my pros. We're going to start with the comic book style opening. Now, you know in the old films, like old Disney movies, right? The Disney cartoons. It would be a book sitting there, a nice looking book, and it would open, and somebody would start reading the story. That's kind of the way this starts, except it's a comic book, and you see a hand reach out and open it, and it's a mummy's hand, which I thought was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Love the opening credits, love the opening music. In fact, I love the music throughout. It really does strike of the music you would hear in a mummy film from the 30s, 40s, or 50s, or 60s. I really did enjoy all of that. Then there's a narrator who starts narrating it. It's really cool. I really love the way it's done. And he starts narrating the comic panels as they're coming to life. The comic panels are coming to life. This was done incredibly well with a really good, sometimes animation, sometimes like comic book still animation. Which if you've ever seen one of those motion comics, you'll know what I'm talking about there. It's kind of like that. Some of it was just the panels being read. You know, it was pretty cool. I dug that. I really did. Now those comic panels and the animation continue through the film. A lot of times when a conversation ends or a scene ends, it'll put the character and put them animated, which is really cool. And they've done that in other films. One notable film they did that with here in Wild Eye territory is The Jurassic Dead. But it's also done in The Warriors, in the director's cut of The Warriors. If you ever seen that, you know what I mean, how it kind of morphs in and out from comic book to reality. It's kind of like that, and it's done extremely well. And I think a lot of that was done to help with the budget parts. Now, that when I said the kills were done that way, I do mean that. The mummy will start doing the kill, and then it'll have a red line go through the screen and 2 black. And it'll drip blood, and then you'll just see, or you'll see it done in animation. It'll be like everything done in motion animation. And that was probably done to help the budget. And it was done extremely creatively. I really did dig it. Now, as I said, towards the end of the film, you're kind of like, okay, we've seen this throughout the whole film. The set design, I loved. Especially the opening. When we're in the tomb, it looks like a mummy's tomb in Egypt. Now, this film was filmed in Colorado, around the Denver area, which is big thumbs up for me, because I'm from Denver, and I love that. Go Broncos. But they did an amazing job making some places where they filmed look like the Egyptian desert. They did a really, really good job. This film was done by talented people. Some of the acting was kind of, but for the most part, it was talented people. The guy who plays the priest of the cult is extremely creepy and done really well, in my opinion. I think he did a really good job. The props, the makeup effects, and the costumes are all great. And you could tell they put their money into the Egyptian stuff, which works for me. Now, there is one scene, the very opening scene, is a doctor and his assistant in the tomb. And they're just kind of looking around doing their thing. And they're dressed in like street clothes. They're not dressed in like what you would expect a normal person in the desert. And that may be the one failure in the costume department. But I can overlook it. It's not a big deal. Costume of the mummy, when he transforms between the human and the mummy, looks great. Because he has powers. He can make you think that he looks like a normal human being, even though he's walking around as a mummy. They do this thing with his bandages when he kills somebody. That's pretty cool. The effects are decent for the movie where we get actual special effects. I really enjoyed this movie, guys. It's an incredibly stylized film, which I like as well. And it was just a good time. I really did enjoy it. I was shocked at how good this movie actually came out. Yes, it's micro budget. Yes, it's, it's an independent film. But this is a good, true homage to the Universal and Hammer horror. I definitely recommend Rage of the Mummy. This is a good one. You need to see it. If you're into those kind of films, check this one out. This is Bronco Juggalo saying peace.
Well, over in Egypt in an old pyramid, I spied an old coffin and I opened the lid.